Guys, oh my god, I can't believe I'm making this video. I can't believe it. I'm so happy. I've been waiting to make this video for a long time, bro. And I couldn't make it because the saga wasn't completed. So it just wouldn't have been right. But now the saga's completed. We're going to be talking about the most niche subject that I think I'll probably ever talk about on this channel or ever have done. The Golden Idol franchise, man, it's my favorite thing ever right now. And I need to talk about it at length in a big video because it's just my favorite thing in the world at the moment. And we've just received the final DLC for The Rise of the Golden Idol, which was my runner-up for Game of the Year last year, behind Animal Well. This franchise means everything to me, and I need to make a video about it. So yeah, to the 1.5 people who regularly watch me that have any knowledge of what this franchise is, welcome to the show, baby. For the rest of you, yeah, allow me to introduce you to the greatest thing ever. The Case of the Golden Idol released in 2022. It was a logic deduction detective puzzle game that put discovery, player agency at the absolute center. These games are inspired by Return of the Obra Dinn directly. They're made by a few people in Latvia named Color Gray Studios. These people played Return of the Obra Dinn specifically and said, this is sick. We need more of this. So they took it upon themselves to make more of this. And just like Return of the Obra Dinn, these are games that you can only play once, really. Once you know the solutions, the experience has been taken from you. You have to just live with the one playthrough that you that you have with these games, which is a bittersweet thing. It kind of means you really want to extract the most from it. So these are games best played completely blind with no hints. You can let the game politely, subtly nudge you in the directions you should be thinking about. There is like a hint feature. But yeah, these are games to where once you have played them, you can't replay them, just like Outer Wilds or Return of the Obra Dinn. I say this to say that if these games sound appealing to you in any way, or they look appealing to you, play them, then come back and watch this, please. I'm going to talk about all of the cases in this entire franchise in this video, every single one. I'm going to just rank them from worst to best, and there's a good chance I'll touch on plot details that you're best off learning in the game. I don't want to take the experience, the wonderful experience of Golden Idol, away from anybody. This is like one of those rare special games that I want to really preserve, nurture. So similar to how Outer Wilds, the community for that game has a similar kind of ethos to where it's like if you give away anything, you're spoiling the experience, and they're very protective of it. And I feel that way towards Outer Wilds as well. But this is like another one of those sort of things. So yeah, I just know that, logically speaking, most of the people watching this won't have played this game. It's a very niche game. It's a small game. I love it. I think it's overlooked, and I want it to succeed in every possible way because I want a million more of these games. However, though, I also understand that they've gone out on a bit of a high note with this most recent DLC, so maybe they want to sort of move on. I'll support Color Gray regardless because they have really, really done something amazing, in my opinion, with these games. They've moved me so much. I can't, cope any longer. I need to make a video. So this year, they have been rolling out something called Golden Idol Investigations. These are DLC packs that consist of around 4 cases on average. Every few months, they would release a new one. There's been 4 this year, and they're all DLCs for The Rise of the Golden Idol. It started with the Sins of New Wells DLC back in like March or February, and then it was the Lemurian Phoenix, then it was the Age of Restraint. Just like a few days ago, they released the Curse of the Last Reaper, which is the conclusion to the Rise of the Golden Idol saga. These DLCs have been my favorite thing this year, to be honest. Just knowing at every given moment this year that I'm just like a few weeks away from a new batch of Golden Idol cases that are going to deepen and enrich the universe of the Golden Idol has just been such a wonderful thought, just knowing that I'm just not far off the next batch. Because just like Outer Wilds and Return of the Obra Dinn, like you leave this game salivating over it and wishing there was more because you know that you can't recapture that first playthrough now that you know the solutions. I can't get enough of this game, and I just needed I need to talk about it. So yeah, this is kind of targeted towards the Golden Idol fan base, which is a very small demographic, admittedly. But yeah, if you've played these games, let me know what your favorite case was. There are so many to pull from. I think there's, I don't even know how many in total. Let me check. Oh, I left my phone in somewhere. Where the freak is it? That's where the ranking is, man. We're good. That was close. That was fucking dangerous, bro. There are a grand total of, oh my god, there are 55 cases in this entire franchise. 55. 12 in Case of the Golden Idol, plus 6 from the DLCs. There's 3 in each of the Case of the Golden Idol DLCs. So that's 18 in the Case of the Golden Idol era. The base game for Rise is 20 cases. Each DLC has 4, and there's 4 of those. Well, actually, no, there's 5 in Liberating Phoenix, so that's 17 plus 20, 37 plus 18, 55 cases. Damn. So we're going to have to start with the worst case in the game. There has to be a case in last place, tragically. I don't like it. You know, it is what it is. It is going to go to the tutorial prologue case from Rise of the Golden Idol, Constriction. These tutorial cases are very bare bones, simple, you know, kind of innately. They're supposed to be simple. As a tutorial, it teaches players how to use the background information very well. The jail cell numbers and aligning it with the documents, you know, that's a nice little way of teaching the player to use the background. But yeah, ultimately it's a pretty straightforward case. Bros getting strangled, just got to work out who they are. The reason I've got it lower than the Case of the Golden Idol's prologue is because it doesn't like beg you to ask questions about the wider story. Like you look at Case of the Golden Idol and you're just like, where are we? You know, why are these people there? What led them to this betrayal that you're seeing? And I don't think that same curiosity is as present in the Rise prologue. At spot number 54, you guessed it, it's the case it's the case prologue. The biggest issue with this tutorial as a tutorial, you can really easily fluke the solution. So I feel like it's possible for players to learn the wrong lesson from it. You know, they're like, oh yeah, I can just sort of trial and error, brute force things. It's still really cool. I like the kind of janky frame motion of the guy falling, you know? I like that little animation they got. At spot number 53, I'm going to go with the second case from the Case of the Golden Idol, which is called The Untimely Passing of a Rural Gentleman, the one directly after the first case in the original game. I'm going to call them cases throughout this whole video, by the way, because scenario is clunky. In Rise of the Golden Idol, it changes from case to scenario. I prefer case, which gets confusing because the first game is called Case, so it can be like, are you talking about the case or the game case? Like, you know, whatever. This case, I think, is a pretty, I don't know, lackluster follow-up from the tutorial case. I actually think this would have probably been better as a tutorial case. This is a good introduction to the idea of red herrings. It lets you know red herrings do exist in this game. Again, you could super easily just trial and error this case. It's kind of jarring how quickly the difficulty jumps from case 2 to 3. It's like case 1, extremely easy. Case 2, really easy. Case 3, quite challenging, at least for like a beginner player initially experiencing it. I feel like there should have been a more sensible evolution in this second case, but overall, yeah, it's not horrible. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. Number 52 is it's the second case from Rise, Under Construction. We will get to the fun shit soon. The one where the guy's been squashed by the tube. Yeah. What I like about this case is that it sets in motion the kind of main question you have throughout the plot of Rise of the Golden Idol, which is like, what's with the red eyes? What's happening to these people? Is this the Golden Idol? Is that what this is, or is this like a new thing? It piques your curiosity. Again, I just thought the solutions in this were insanely obvious. I didn't feel that kind of chills dopamine rush of excitement. It was all very kind of spelled out for you, I thought. The pictures inside the cranes pretty quickly let you know who worked at each crane. Ultimately, just as a puzzle, I thought it was a bit flimsy. It does nicely let you know like the kind of scale of what's happening in the game's plot. You know, there's a news reporter covering the death of the guy, and then there's a homeless guy with red eyes. Okay, like you're interested. I appreciate that, but I think as a puzzle, it's pretty weak. At number 51, I have the 9th case from Rise of the Golden Idol protest movement. Like 9 cases in, I was a little disappointed to receive what I thought was a pretty overreaching solution. It just seemed a little like far-fetched. It's a pretty inconsequential case as well in the wider scheme of the story. I don't think this really sets in motion much new developments. It gives you a wider idea of the influence the idol is having on like the Harmony Foundation and the cult-like fervor it has, I suppose. I appreciate that, you know, but yeah, I don't know. I just sort of felt like this was a bit of filler. So the bird bath came loose, went through like the woods, and then across the bikes, and then into the pool. It's just a very hard to believe solution. Number 50 is the first case from Rise of the Golden Idol, Academic Impact. Not a bad case, to be honest. It's all right. You know, he fell from the top. He has a cigarette packet that is not one that is available at the nearby cigarette machine, so you know he didn't go to that cigarette machine. He must have fallen from somewhere else, and then you see the little thing at the top. Yeah, no, nice. It's a nice way to let the player understand how the logic deduction kind of works in these games. It's good. It's an extremely important case at the very end of the game especially. It's like foreshadowing and setting up stuff without you even realizing it. It's nice. It's good. Number 49 is the epilogue to Case of the Golden Idol, the 12th case in the game. A grand vision of a better world. The big finale of the game is really the penultimate case. This is just sort of like an epilogue recounting the events of the whole game. It has an extremely wonderful animation where you see Lazarus like using the golden idol to revert himself back to Edmund Cloudsley, you know, because it's like revealed, you know, in a few cases prior that he is using the golden idol to make himself younger, and Lazarus is actually Edmund Cloudsley, who we all thought died in that explosion. But no, it's Lazarus, man. I'm fucking shocked I didn't clock that. His name's literally Lazarus. It took me way longer than I'd like to admit to notice what was going on there. But yeah, as a case in itself, it's a nice way to sort of ensure that the player has received the full story, because you basically just recount the events of the whole game. I wish it was a little bit more challenging as a kind of puzzle within itself or whatever, but yeah, it's cool. Number 48, the 8th case from Case of the Golden Idol, which is the lighthouse one, the crowning celebration by the lighthouse. Biggest positive I can give this case is the fucking OST is insane. Bro, Kyle Misko went crazy on this case's OST. That shit is fire. One of my favorite songs in the whole franchise. Why is this case so low? Because it has so much random shit that you don't need to know in it. Like the shoes, no one needed the shoes. So many of the spots you'd have to investigate were just the shoes, and it was so that you could see who walked back and forth between the dead body, but you don't even need that to solve it. I was very easily able to solve this case without even thinking about the shoes. Like, I don't know why the game had that in there. Also, in retrospect, Lazarus holding Edmund Cloudsley's handkerchief. Bro, you're spoiling the game. I mean, maybe they want the player to sort of clock it early, and I'm just an idiot for clocking it late, but for me, that was like a sick reveal in the penultimate case, because for me, it was like a eureka moment. But yeah, the artwork is really expressive. It also uses a lot of the tricks the players have come to kind of grow used to at this point, you know, using the initials to figure out who's who, blah, blah, blah. There is a kind of tedium to this case, in my opinion. I love the Griffin Reborn thing, the idea that, like, you know, the miracles, they've been like disproven. I love the little panels showing the history of people disproving the miracles. I found them very funny. It's a very expressive case, I'll give it that. Half the clues are filler, and it gets dangerously close to spoiling one of the game's biggest reveals. I don't know. Number 47 is the 3rd case in Rise of the Golden Idol Newsflash. I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. I think my main beef with it is that it's just very low stakes and not very interesting as a case. I wasn't particularly fascinated by anything happening here. The Genius Man. Why can't I think of it? Nowak. Isaac Nowak. Yeah, I got it. Isaac Nowak died. We know that, you know, and we just have to work out which body is his and blah, blah, blah. I was just like, there's not really much new intel for me to really sink my teeth into, at least at this phase of the game. A lot of it is relevant later. Nice foreshadowing. But yeah, disappointingly low stakes, especially coming off of the construction case, which was, you know, like not that good as a puzzle. It was interesting as far as the implications for the future of the game. Newsflash does make amazing use of the new detail that has been allowed thanks to this game's updated art style, because they got rid of the pixel art style of the first game. You can pack in more clues now with Rise of the Golden Idol, and I think this is the earliest case of them really making good use of that, with the bodies and the kind of incisions and the skin and stuff like that. You need to look at carefully to make sure you're doing the right thing. It's not bad. I'd give it a 6. It's just, yeah, I just wish I was more fascinated by it, that's all. In 46th place, I have the 16th case from Rise of the Golden Idol, Boardroom Brawl. The opening line was just someone hurling the insult whore, I want to say. That's the first thing I saw. I was like, okay, whoa, what are we in for, bro? First thing you see is this argument kicking off. I will say the initial frame reveal of this case fucking rules. My guy had an affair at the Love Hotel or some shit, and that's why they're arguing, and that's like the solution, really, which is like kind of filler and like whatever. This case does give you a little taste of the Golden Idol's true power. It's actually working over a broadcast. Memories are being transmitted through the Golden Idol to people watching through a TV screen, so that immediately gives these corporate execs some an ideas like, oh, we can use the golden idol to literally brainwash people on TV. That's really cool. I guess I just wish that was the focus of this case more and less to do with this like little affair, which as funny as it was, I don't know, it just felt a little bit inconsequential to me. Yeah, it's whatever. I'll give it a 6. And at 45th place, this is the final 6 out of 10. Everything from this point onwards afterwards is 7 out of 10 or higher. Ascension, which is the third case from the Lemurian Phoenix DLC, which is our first DLC case of the whole ranking. Everything so far has been from the base games. I don't believe the solution. I'm sorry. I straight up think the solution is out of control. I like the case. I like a lot of what it makes you think about. The way it delivers a pretty vivid portrait of somebody abusing their power. You really grow to hate Koi Nagasai as you play this particular case. The forklift? Nah, fuck off, man. Really? The soundproofing can't be that crazy, surely. There's no way absolutely nobody can hear this forklift lifting the guy. Like, how does it even work? He's sat on the thing. He's got his robes covering it. Like, there are so many aligning stars that need to happen to make sure nobody sees the forklift at any point or hears it. But they walk in and he's just floating. Does he get on the forklift? Like, there are so many little gaps and questions I have to do with the forklift solution. I don't believe it. When Jamati Perra was sort of doing his little deed in the garage, I saw the tracks from the forklift and I was like, oh, he's using the forklift to make everyone think he can fly. When I clocked that, I was like, nah, surely fucking not. Like, I denied it at first. I was like, I can't be the case. That makes no sense. But then it was. So that's my beef with this case. You know, that's really it. I think the solution is just silly. Everything else is really good. The music's great. It looks great. I love the whole thing where he has the layout of the building and he's like, there's a discrepancy. And then his own employee figures out how much of a cunt he is because of the discrepancy. And he realizes that, oh, this flight thing is just bollocks. He's just using it to sleep with these women. I thought that was really cool. I was scanning that room trying to find the discrepancy. And when I saw it was the windows, I was like, huh, so this room's actually bigger than what we're seeing, and that's enough room for the forklift to be there. That was cool. I liked the discrepancy thing. The thing about, the guy Jamati Perra, he like hid volume 5 of the thing. Oh, that was tight. Like, you see the V and it's like a different shade, and then he's reading volume 5. It's like, oh, he took it and he snuck it in there, and Koi Nagasai didn't notice because he's an idiot. Yeah, overall I do like the case. I just think that solution is bollocks. So yeah, 6 out of 10. All right, now we're in the 7 out of 10s, and hilariously at number 44, right in front of that, is the next case in the DLC, Revelation. I like this one a little bit more. I found it extremely fascinating to get like a wider idea of the sort of enamored cult-like fascination these guys have with this fountain and how it kind of works, how the messages come to be. I guess my main beef with the case would be the fact that it's basically just like a code breaker puzzle with extra steps. Like, you just have to work out the kind of language of it, which is a little bit long-winded, but it was pretty fun. I guess I just come to these games for the logic deduction side of things, and there wasn't as much of that here. Overall, yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was cool. It was a little bit shorter, more bite-sized, you know, compared to the other cases in this DLC, but one of the most like vivid and tangible ones, and it's extremely important for the next case, the closing case of the DLC, where you revisit this waterfall in a very different context, which is really good. At number 43, I really wish I could place this one higher, but it's just too thin on the ground for me to do so. Spiel Dance, the 13th case from Rise of the Golden Idol. This is kind of iconic, this one, to be honest. One of the very few cases in the entire series that completely breaks the rules on everything you know the series to be. It's a very short case where you are watching the dancer from the talent show. He's doing a spiel dance, and one of the viewers of this talent show is like, I know that. That's an ancient Lemurian spiel dance. How do you know an ancient Lemurian spiel dance? And what an ancient Lemurian spiel dance is a very old method of communicating via dance. Every single move, every gesture of this dance is actually like a word or a plural or a noun, and you have to spend the puzzle, the case, figuring out what this message is that's being hidden in this dance. It's awesome. I think it's such a novel concept, and they do bring it back for one of the DLCs. I love it because it makes Lemuria just this endlessly fascinating, technologically advanced universe that you just want to peel back more and more. Lemuria is easily the most fascinating thing about the universe. That's the place the Golden Idol comes from. They've managed to develop these like impossibly terrifying artifacts, and seeing this spiel dance is just a very interesting window window into the world of Lemuria that I really loved. And I loved that they brought back the purple text to indicate that the person is speaking Lemurian. My only beef with it is that it is just a really short case. Number 42 is the eighth case from Rise of the Golden Idol Ignition, which I'm also going to give a 7 out of 10. This would be higher if there was just more expression, more atmosphere. The setting, it's a little bit dull. It just takes place inside the lab. You know, that's cool and all, but I think more attention could have been paid to bringing the setting to life in a more immersive way, I suppose. But that doesn't stop them from leaning into the wackiness because, yeah, you see... God, what's his name? Fucking Muppet, man. What is his name, bro? I want to say it's like Edward. It's not Edward. What is it? Elliot? What the fuck's his name? You know, the idiot. Marmot. Something... Eugene Marmot. He's on fire. And it's like, damn, Brody, what's happened here? You know, it's wacky, it's crazy. It just reminds you that this game isn't afraid to just have a bit of silly fun. And they lean into that really nicely here. I liked the thumbprints. That was really cool. The game takes place in the 80s, and they're trying to work out what this new rendition of the Golden Idol is capable of, and you can see their reactions as they're researching it and figuring that shit out. It's cool. It does inform you a lot of where they're at as far as how far they're willing to push the Golden Idol. I think it's a really good case. I give it a 7 out of 10. At 41st place, I have the 10th case from Rise of the Golden Idol, which is titled The Procedure. I love that The Procedure brings you back to the Harmony Foundation. It's a fresh take on an old setting before it becomes, I guess, a lab eventually. Definitely amps up the craziness. You're seeing people getting like tased. You see Tessa Novari thinking that she understands the Golden Idol when she most definitely doesn't. She thinks it controls how empathetic people are. You also get a brief glimpse of Koi Nagasai, right? Yeah, I like this case a lot. I really like the puzzle where it gave you some information. It literally told you that Alex is protecting Sam for a reason. What are the 3 clues that tell you that this is the case? And that right away just inspired you to look at those things again with a bit more of a keener motivation. I thought that was a really cool way of just locking you in a little bit. Number 40, I have the 17th case from Rise of the Golden Idol, Ancient Artifacts. I know this list so far seems a bit like backloaded with Rise cases. Tell me you prefer Case of the Golden Idol without telling me you prefer Case of the Golden... I know. But these cases are all really good. Like, I'm saying all this stuff, but they're all really compelling. They all add up to build an incredibly gripping plot. So it's like, don't get it twisted. Like, there are days where I do feel like I prefer Rise, you know, just because of the overall adventure it takes you on. But yeah, the individual cases, there are some that just don't have this same wow factor that the best moments of Case gives me. Ancient Artifacts is still a really good case. In fact, it's one of the most frightening cases because you see the birth of, what's his name, man? Not Oriole Toussaint, the guy he turns into. You really get to see the physical aftermath of the Golden Idol being put in the wrong hands, where an entire human being gets overwritten by the memory of an ancient Lemurian crazy guy. This is something that gets further developed with the Age of Restraint DLC in a very, very fun way, when you really get to learn who the person is that we're now stuck with in the 80s. Oriole Toussaint is a historian who is very fascinated by Lemurian, you know, culture, and his fascination leads to his own demise. His brain gets completely wiped in place of an ancient Lemurian person who, little did he know, was stored on a data disk. Like, their entire life was stored on a data. It's crazy. The setting is really eye-catching. The museum, it's really colorful. Great sense of like depth and scale to it. I think this case is a really zany and interesting use of different time periods and settings. I think it's really good. At 39th place, we have a case from the Case of the Golden Idol. That is the 4th case, The Murder at the Little Mermaid. I think the biggest issue with this case is just that the red herring is very transparent. I found it extremely see-through. There's a murder and there's a murderer on the loose. Color gray. Guys, you really thought I was gonna fall for that? Okay, they're clearly dangling this murderer in front of me to make me think, oh, surely the murderer did the murder. I know better than to just, like, you know, jump to that conclusion. It kind of felt like a pretty poorly handled red herring. It's a good one. It's really good. In fact, it's good enough that my mum completed it while I was away for my birthday. This is how much I love these games. For my birthday, she asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I said, I want to sit you down and show you some video games. I want to watch you play them. And one of them was the Case of the Golden Idol. And she had a great time playing it. So much so that when I left to go to the movies later on my birthday, I was met with the information that she had continued playing, and she made it through this case. On her own volition, she continued playing. That was cool. She did get stuck on the 5th case though, so yeah, fair enough. The 5th case is tough. Number 38 is one from Rise of the Golden Idol. It's the 12th case, Backstage Drama. This case is an absolute blast. This is the first 8 out of 10 of the lot. The setting of the talent show and everyone going crazy, the animation on the lady's face while she's just like screaming because she didn't win the talent show. Yeah, I found the initial frame reveal to be pretty awesome in this this one. It's really easy to connect to this case and connect to these characters despite them all being completely new to you. I think everybody here is an entirely new character. No one in this case has appeared in any prior case. I think the difficulty and the density, the balance is a little mismatched, but overall, yeah, it's one of the more exciting and explosive cases. At number 37, I have another DLC case. This is the final case from the Age of Restraint, Consequences. There's so much I love about this case. It's really climactic. It's got one of the sickest initial frame reveals in the whole series. You see a giant machine destroying stuff. Like, it's just like, wow, the scale of this case. It's undeniable. And it is a pretty fulfilling story conclusion to this DLC. The problem with this case, though, for me, is there's just too much of that kind of like coding input stuff. I found those sections to be really tedious because you're just sort of flicking back and forth between the rules of the coding thing, back to the puzzle, back and forth. It wasn't that fulfilling as far as like a puzzle. It was more of a dexterity or patience test than it was like an intelligence test or observation test. Everything else about this case rules. I did enjoy figuring out which order the conversation went in. That really allows you to sort of understand when each event of this case happened. That conversation is very integral to working out why you're seeing the things you're seeing, because there's a lot in this case that you're just like, why are you showing me that? What has that got to do with anything? And it's easily got one of the most chilling uses of the Veridola. The Veridola, man, I really hope we see more of that. I think that's an extremely novel idea for this franchise, the lie detector thing. By immediately revealing to the player who the liars are, you're kind of looking for entirely new things within the case, you know? It just opens the floodgates for just a new approach to the puzzle design. Yeah, really cool case. I'm not even halfway through these cases, bro. I'm dedicated, man. There are a few things on this planet I care about more than the Golden Idol franchise. Number 36 is case number 3 from one of the Case of the Golden Idol DLCs. The Lemurian Vampire. Oh, what a DLC. Great DLC. 3 cases, all dynamite. The less than amicable departure of 2 explorers. It ties perfectly into the very beginning of Case of the Golden Idol with Oberon Geller. It literally sets up the stakes and the events that kick off the entire plot of the base game, which is really nice. I love that kind of full circle, callback. There is like this kind of dread looming over the case, this danger, this turmoil sort of present throughout this case. One of the 3 good people in this entire series. He's like in this little cubbyhole prison. There's just like a, I don't know, dwindling hopelessness that's really tangible to this case. I think it's really nice. Ultimately, yeah, I think it's a strong conclusion. And just the image of the 2 kind of opposing, the Lemurian people and Oberon Geller and Cloudsley, just sort of that separation. There's a lot of really nice symbolism there, I think. It's wonderful. It's a great case. Number 35 is from Rise of the Golden Idol. This is case number 11, Feathered Frenzy. What a chaotic initial image. You're immediately greeted with a bunch of birds, a bunch of people screaming, this one derpy looking motherfucker on the left. You're just like, who's done what's happened here, what's got the birds all angry? There's so much immediate interest. There's a wee bit of tragedy involved as well. So there's a bird that gets killed, and there's a guy that was supposed to look after the bird, but he was scheduled in to do so, but he didn't because he went to OPIG because he was volunteering to try out their Golden Idol stuff. But little did OPIG know, or little did he know, the Golden Idol takes away your memories. So he went there innocently and he lost his memories. He lost his training, that he just did to take care of these birds. So he comes back and he fucks up and angers all the birds because he totally forgot what to do. He literally just learned what to do, and he went to OPIG and unlearned what to do. It's chaos. And this little derpy bird is actually the culprit for most of the mayhem you're seeing. I guess maybe the split pages are a little tedious, but I did think it was a cool way to like be greeted with the revelation that these birds are, crazy, or this bird is crazy in particular. It's not the most relevant to the story, ultimately. It's probably one of the more kind of inconsequential cases in the game as far as advancing the narrative, but it's fun, it's chaotic, it's wild. It's good stuff. Let this be a sign that we're now entering the cases that are like fucking elite. Like these are all the rest are just amazing. Just goes to show how strong the hit rate is in this fucking series, man. We have another one from Rise of the Golden Idol at number 34. It is the 6th case, blockbuster released. One of the most hideous cases, to be honest, in the whole series. I think it's a little dull. It very clearly looks like paint strokes. It's pretty weak as far as the actual puzzles and the events happening. This case is awesome. Seriously awesome. It's amazing. So there's a movie happening and there are people dressing up. People are in costume and there's a competition going on. There's an explosion. Someone went a little too crazy with their costume, and there's wiring and electricity involved and blah, blah, blah. Also, there's a theft being attempted. This thing's really funny. I especially love the security lady just trying to stop the crash by crashing into the cars on the brink of passing out. No one leaves. No, there's a lot of personality here, and this is an impressively big in scope case. Every single case in Rise of the Golden Idol before this one is comparatively way smaller, way less complicated. This is when things really kick into gear. My favorite part of the case has got to be Mike and Jenny and their little bet, and they're trying to guess what's going to happen in the movie, and then the events that actually happened in the case kind of mirrored what they thought was going to happen in the movie, so they're trying to claim that as, see, I called it, but it happened in real life actually, and there's like a little dispute there. Again, this is really when Color Gray start to embrace the silly side of Rise of the Golden Idol. I think the Rise of the Golden Idol is a lot sillier than Case of the Golden Idol. They're both like, you know, wacky and funny and stuff, but Rise particularly is like all bets are off. At number 33, I have the final case of the first DLC for the Case of the Golden Idol, the Spider of Lanka, in the Web of the Spider, and I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10 as well. I think the reveal of who the spider is was super disappointing and obvious, very poorly telegraphed. I think that's kind of the main mystery at the center of this case, and yeah, you'll figure it out pretty quickly. However, I do love the way this case is presented with its artwork. Is an excellent use of space and scale. This case forces you to consider where people might have been, where they're going, where they were coming from, by having some parts of the case dial into one small succinct location and another part of the case, another image, another panel of the case, sort of showing a much wider area with loads of little areas you can like sort of pick at. And I really appreciate that they went kind of big and ambitious with this one. More so than any case in the base game too, this case is really like banking on the player remembering pretty vividly stuff from the previous cases in the DLC. This is the final case of the Spider of Lanka DLC, and you really need to have what just happened in the previous cases fresh in your head to solve this one, which makes it kind of a shame that you can't just conveniently, you know, flick between older cases. That's something I really like that they added in Rise, the ability to sort of like quickly on a dime flick between the, you know, the cases, except it's kind of janky on console, unfortunately. That's something that would have been really helpful in the DLCs for Case of the Golden Idol, because they do really like all interconnect very uniformly, and that's absolutely the case with this DLC. Overall, big fan of it. I think it's great. I think honestly the DLC cases for the most part, just in general, are fucking great. They really amp up the difficulty, you know, and that's the thing. The DLCs are for the fans, the people who love the base games. They're the ones that are the demographic for the DLC, so they're willing to sort of go all out with the difficulty because, you know, they're trying to sell it to seasoned players of the game, so, you know, they're able to kind of get a little crazier with it. Number 32 is the 6th case from the Case of the Golden Idol, the explosive events in the forest cabin. Visually one of the coolest in the whole game because it has the explosion from the vase, which looks sick. It is an extremely striking image, and I think this is one of the best and earliest examples of the Golden Idol series, showing you a lot of seemingly pointless things at first that end up being extremely crucial to solving the wider puzzle, particularly the thing with the door, the handle and how the door was opened. At first you're like, why do I need to know that? And then when you sort of start peeling through the layers of the case, you kind of understand it more. But yeah, this is the very first instance of somebody using the Golden Idol with a real intention, with a wider scheme at play. You're seeing pretty interesting things happen here, like right before the game really expands. I think the case right after this is when like the kind of cults get introduced and it gets all crazy. This is sort of the inception of the kind of wider sprawling saga of these games, and it is a little bit of a unserious case coming off of the 5th case from the Case of the Golden Idol. The one right before this is like a much more kind of like, all right, get the pen and paper out, let's go. And this one's a little bit more kind of let's ease off a little bit. Here's an explosion, and yeah, I guess maybe it would have been cool to keep up that momentum. Great case. Also, there's a doggy, fucking little Pip, man. What a little thief. He's a thief. In 31st place, I have the opening case to the Age of Restraint DLC, The Fruits of, is it obedience? Disobedience. We're still deep in 8 out of 10 territory. There's quite a lot of 8s. It's mostly 8s. We're going to be seeing quite a few more before we get to the 9 out of 10s. But yeah, this one rules. This is probably the most overwhelmed I have ever felt playing this freaking whole series. Like the opening like thing, you're met with so much information with this one. You are just absolutely bombarded with intel when it comes to this thing. I thought it was really cool. This is a great case. I got really stuck into this. The green and red text, you got the fruits, you got the gun, the transformer thing, whatever it's called, the transporter. You have to work out what each part of it is actually doing. There is so much you're being smacked in the face with in this case. Why is it not higher? Because there is an element of the puzzle that is a little frustrating to solve, because it kind of relies on you being able to clearly tell from a 2D perspective the exact angle someone was using the transporter gun. And I found that a little bit difficult to read with this information I had on screen, but eventually I did kind of get there. Easily arguably this DLC, the Age of Restraint DLC, worst soundtrack of the whole franchise. It really made me realize just how much legwork the soundtrack was doing for these games. It's just a little bit too ambient, a little bit too spacey. There's just very little going on musically. I wish there was just more there to chew on when it comes to the songs in the Age of Restraint DLC as a whole, but this case particularly, I was like, given how much is happening, you're being hit with so much creativity and so many new tools, the music just isn't really echoing that, and that was frustrating. But still, this as a case, as a puzzle, it's excellent. I think it's really great. In 30th place, dude, really? This is 30th? Oh my god, this is a great case. Behind Bars. Dude, this case has the freaking thing with the words and the shapes, the colors, and you have to use them to sort of decode the message from Tessa Navari, who's going under the Stephen Aria alias. That was fucking crazy. Obviously, you don't work that out until later, that Tessa Navari is an anagram for Stephen Aria. That was fucking crazy. That's something you work out later, but it's like you are introduced to the name Stephen Aria in this case, and you don't really know that that's Tessa Navari yet. You're just like, okay, I guess that's somebody I'm going to be introduced to later. But then you realize that it's Tessa. That was cool. One thing that I found a bit frustrating about this puzzle actually is it does throw way too many words in your word bank. It's a little word heavy. There's loads that are just completely useless. It's an easy way for the game to sort of cheaply get your brain to just sort of think a bunch of wild, impossible things. Like, here's a bunch of words that you could fill in the blanks with. So you start thinking like, oh, why would that be? Is that a thing? Is that maybe part of it? And no, it's just there to throw you off. Despite the kind of minimal setting and stakes, it's very contained into a prison environment. This thing feels huge. There's a very vivid image of exactly everything that happened. The moment you solve everything, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's all right there. It's like a nice kind of like big picture moment when you finish this case. This is just another case that is emblematic of how tragic this game is, because I think probably the nicest, most friendliest, kindest character in this entire series gets completely unfairly stitched up. He's like a trainee police officer. Yeah, bro gets completely fucked over, and it's a shame. He doesn't deserve that. Number 29 is the case directly before this one, Garden Retreat, the fourth case of Rise of the Golden Idol, also an 8 out of 10. I love how this case recontextualizes your initial assumptions. You see Tessa Navari digging, doing something in her garden, she's crying, and at first I don't think it's very clear that, you know, there's a dead body under there, but you learn that there is a dead body under there, and that dead body is very noticeable throughout the rest of the game. Whenever we return to the Harmony Foundation, you can see where the body's been buried, but nobody knows it's there. And she obviously did not want to, you know, bury this guy, but she's in this very dedicated pursuit of enlightenment that's obviously really misguided and wrong. Yeah, this is a really exciting case to me, and even the characters that are not on screen, there's only one character on screen in Tessa Navari, even the ones that are not present and you just hear about them through stories of what's happened before, the voicemails, they're all so well personalized and vivid in my mind, and I think it's just a credit to the great writing from this development team. And also it looks really cool. Nighttime looks beautiful here. Number 28 is the Court of the Sentinels, the second case of the Age of Restraint DLC. This shit was awesome, to be honest. Again, the soundtrack in this fucking DLC is so ass. But yeah, Spiel Dance makes a return, which is nice. There's a big hologram of somebody doing a Spiel Dance that you have to work out, which was lovely to see them, you know, use that again. I actually loved the kind of the love story that's happening underneath the main mystery of this case. The personality and the desperation for power on display as they kind of decide what to do with this traitor at the center of this puzzle. There's a whole theft that happened in the library, a bit of betrayal in there with the love thing. There's a lot of cool little power plays happening. I think the Spiel Dance animation looked a little weird. I will say that. I don't think it looks the best, which is a shame because the vast sense of scale of the environment, it looks really, really huge, really expressive. But yeah, some cracks in the artwork, I would say. It kind of reminded me of why I was apprehensive to Rise of the Golden Idol's art style at first, because there's just so much room for things to look a little smudgy and awkward, and that's just not the case ever in Case of the Golden Idol. Case of the Golden Idol's pixel art is just extremely visceral. That's my shortcomings with this case, but it's still, as a power dynamics driven logic deduction puzzle, it is really, really good. Number 27 is the first case of the Sins of New Wells DLC, Following Orders. I love the atmosphere of this case. It starts off so nice. You have a protagonist for the first time in the Golden Idol franchise. Normally you play as like a omniscient, omnipotent being who could just see everything. You're not like a character. But in this case, you kind of are, in a way. You're Roy Sampson, who's a detective trying to work out what's happened just as you are. So you're able to sort of kind of channel your feelings through him and his partner. We have a restaurant, we have like a takeaway spot, and we have a murder and a really weird kind of like stringy tendon looking incident with the water tower, and it looks really weird. There's a lot of questions you're asking right out the gate, and I really liked the different orders that everyone made. Everyone made like a suspiciously different order. They were ordering things that weren't on the menu, and it becomes clear that there is a drug deal happening here. You just get this kind of seedy image. It's really cool, and you're playing as a detective. Like there's just like a espionage-y, like detective-y, policey kind of vibe to this that isn't really present in any other case or any other, you know, DLC, which is weird because it's like a detective game. So I like that they embraced that a bit with this case. Overall, I really liked it, and I will say the maths puzzles were a little whatever. Still a really good case, and actually this righted the wrongs of the lighthouse case because it had footsteps and feet and shoes and stuff in a way that actually was important. So yeah, kudos. Number 26 is the third case from the Sins of New Wells, The Raid. This is a much smaller case. There's not as many spots or words. It's a lot more striking though, honestly. This is actually one of the more chilling and scary and unsettling cases of the whole franchise. I mean, the image of this guy right away is enough to make you go like, huh, okay, oh shit, wow, well, what's happening here? He's looking a little insane. And then you see this animation, and then you see the same animation 3 times. They've all watched the same animation. And essentially what's happening is they are testing a new device called this like disarranger or disarrayer. This device is being used on 3 subjects at varying levels of intensity, and they're all watching the same animation. You're basically seeing the effect this disarrayer has on all 3 of them at these different levels of intensity. And then this guy on the very end who's going insane, he is obviously the one that's been tested the most heavily, and he's lost his mind. He is remembering the animation differently to the other guys completely. He's calling the dolphin like God or something. And he's remembering it completely out of order, and the images in his head of the animation he saw are just absolutely, you know, this is just not what happened. It's just like completely fucked his mind up. It's a really scary concept, the idea of a machine totally scrambling your memories to not even just be out of order, but to be entirely new images completely. I think that's a really chilling concept, and this game understands that with this case, particularly by making it a very bite-sized, distilled, small case that just hammers home that point. I've just seen what's next. Number 25. I can't have that low, bro. I can't. That's terrible. I'm changing that. I'm bumping that up like 10 spaces. The heck was I thinking there? Number 25 is Beach Trip from Rise of the Golden Idol, case number 15. We are now in 9 out of 10 territory. We've made it to the 9 out of 10s. This case, above any other case, highlights the idiocy and insanity of Eugene Marmot. Eugene Marmot, he is put in charge of running the marketing campaign for a new soda, and he's been gifted the Golden Idol. They know that the Golden Idol can basically transfer memories, and what Eugene Marmot decides to do with this is, I'm going to get an advert with loads of hot beach babes all drinking this drink, and they're going to be feeling absolute euphoria because he's going to put like this euphoric drug in the drink, and they're all going to drink it, and he's going to use the Golden Idol to capture the little 2 seconds of memory where they drink it and feel euphoria, film it, and make that the advert for this drink, so that when everybody watches the advert, they then all feel the transferred memories of this euphoria and then want to go buy the drink for themselves. I don't know, it's just so on brand that like the moment he gets money and like resources to do some shit, he's like, yeah, cool, beach babes and drugs. He thinks it's really cool. And he's just like a fucking child, you know. I love the beach setting too. You know, there's a lot of fun little logic deduction. I think it just bottles everything that makes Golden Idol good into one fun little scenario that does advance the story. It does show you the position of power that Eugene Marmot managed to get to. You see Jack Nowak just like rolling his eyes every 3 seconds. Just like, why is this fucking asshole in charge? And yeah, this game is largely about kind of the inadequacy of the people at the top and how kind of insecure and petty and emotional they are. And when they get things like the Golden Idol, they want to do things like brainwash everyone into thinking a drink is euphoria so that they can sell more drinks. And yeah, there's a lot of kind of corporate greed at the center of these games. Despite the silliness of this case, the political and societal context it kind of represents is pretty cool. Number 24, the third case from the case of the Golden Idol, the dramatic departure of an outsider. I love this case. This is the very first real case of the entire series. Because as I mentioned right at the very beginning of this video, the first 2 cases, the tutorial cases of the debut game, they're pretty straightforward, they're pretty easy. This is when shit really gets real. It goes from like being super easy to getting fucking real really quick. And I have watched both of my parents complete this puzzle in real time, and it is very satisfying to watch the dots connect and then to show them all the clues they missed immediately after they solve it, because it's so easy to miss that the knife has the letter J on it, man. It's so easy to miss it. This is the moment where the game really teaches you gotta like connect these kind of threads, like look at who the people are. Soundtrack bangs as well. It's got one of the most iconic images in the franchise with James Pear on fire being spontaneously combusted by the golden idol, Edmund Cloudsley looking at the power of the golden idol and immediately thinking, what can I use it for? This puzzle alone sets you up for so much of the future game without you even really realizing it. Yeah, it's the first moment you really lean forward and start to get super interested in the wider schemes of this franchise. This is a fantastic case. In 23rd place, I have one of the new cases from the most recent DLC, the second one, Broadside Betrayal from the Curse of the Last Reaper. This was an amazing case. It was delightful because it felt like a real love letter from the team, Color Grey. It is directly riffing off of and paying homage to Return of the Obra Dinn in the sense that you have pirates and you have to work out what each pirate's role is, which is something you had to do in Return of the Obra Dinn. You had to work out who were the bosuns and who was the captain, who was this, who was that. You had to look at things like their outfit, where they were positioned on the boat. You had to do a lot of that, and you had to do the exact same thing here in Broadside Betrayal. And Return of the Obra Dinn being the game that basically birthed Golden Idol, it's pretty cool to see them kind of, return to those roots very directly, very like lovingly in this case. And I loved it. It was great. And there were so many little things happening in this case that are not particularly relevant to you while you're doing it, but become extremely relevant when you get to the end of the Curse of the Last Reaper. It's a wonderful piece of interconnectivity. The teeth and the kind of transformations that are happening to the pirates. I was like, what's going on with that? And when you sort of learn what is going on with that, yeah, man, it's awesome. Yeah, it's really, really cool. It also has the most high-octane music of any case in the whole game. When you're initially met with this case and that like freaking buzzing music comes in, it's like, oh man, this shit's intense. People are getting shot, people are dying. The only thing I can think of to complain about is the sailmaker shot him. Are you sure? Didn't look that way, unless I missed something. It looked to me like the carpenter landed the shot. But okay, if you say so, sure. Number 22 is yet another Golden Idol Investigations DLC case. This time it's from the Lemurian Phoenix Eternity's End. My goodness, man, this case is smart. This is one of the most intricate cases. The paste, the goat, the hierarchy, the fake tears. Oh man, are you kidding me? That shit fucked me up. The fake tears? That's new. That's not something the game had done before. I saw the guy crying and I immediately thought, oh man, he must be innocent. My silly, empathetic ass, man. Nah, he fucking murdered him. So that he could become the next big dog. I loved the proclamations as well. They are very imposing and intimidating, and you can really see like a shift in how they're being implemented. It's clear when you kind of inspect them closer that these proclamations are bullshit and they exist purely so that whoever's in charge can get exactly what he wants and appear humble doing it. Like Lemuria is spoken about and framed in these games as this really like pure, precious, like technologically advanced place where people thrive and stuff, but you really see that at the center, like people are flawed. Humanity is greedy, even in the most seemingly like earnest of places. I love the footsteps by the goat, all the little details, the working out the ingredients of the poisoned dish. So fucking awesome. I love this case. And I loved the quack doctor. They call him the quack. This doctor who believes like all this medicine shit is pointless. The best way to heal is to like believe or whatever. Like, you get to see his diagnosis and then you get to see the actual good doctor's diagnosis, and that divide in the people of Lemuria. It's just like, oh yeah, these Lemurians that invented all of these unbelievable, amazing things, the Golden Idol, these terrifyingly powerful things. Yeah, they're just like us, man. At spot number 21, I have the Triumph of Order, the 10th case from Case of the Golden Idol. Very good case. Best use of maths in any of the cases, in my opinion. I loved the sort of point deduction, punishment system they had. It was really a good way to sort of drill into the player just how fascist Lazarus Hearst is, man. He was running this order party basically as a dictator. The moment he got the golden idol, he saw it as a means to sort of take control and build the perfect world that he had previously dreamed about. I think in one of the previous cases you see that he had like these very grand ideas for how the world should be, very clearly like a purification situation happening here. The moment he gets the golden idol, he is stealing people's youth, punishing anybody who wants to draw, write, express themselves. He wants to build an empire, and you see the ramifications of that in this case very tangibly. Fucking Gideon Bell suffering maybe the cruelest fate of this entire game. He had blue hair. That was all it took for him to become a shriveled husk of a person. Years of his life stolen thanks to the golden idol. And when you see the kids, you see those kids and you're like, oh my god, what are these kids? And then you learn that those kids are actually adults. What the fuck? It's fucked up, man. This is one of the most fucked up cases in the whole game. And that's what makes it really powerful, because as you solve it, you slowly realize how deep the layers of fucked up get. And then you kind of start to understand what these games are really about, what they're really trying to say, and you can really feel the voices of Color Gray coming through. It's an expressive case and a really, really moving one. I think it's a dark one. It's tight. In 20th, I have Going Once, the 7th case from the Rise of the Golden Idol. It's an auction. There's a Lemurian artifact for sale. Tessa Navari wants it really bad. I believe she gets it. There's a theft happening. She's got people on the inside, and it's fucking crazy. I loved the emotional stakes here. Emotions are running high, you know? It's funny because it actually took me a weirdly long time to realize that you could change the time of day. That's something that was not introduced to me. You know, I had played the DLCs for Case of the Golden Idol after I had finished Rise of the Golden Idol, so I hadn't actually seen the whole time jump mechanic, because they introduced that in the Lemurian Vampire DLC, which came before Rise. I discovered this mechanic in Rise on Going Once, and it took me a really long time to acknowledge that little panel at the top allows you to jump forward in time by a few hours. So I was like trying to solve the case for ages. Like, what the hell's going on? I know nothing. And then I jumped in time and I just saw pitch black, everyone's all fucked up, and I have to work out where everyone is, like which silhouette is who. You have these small little crumbs of hints in their dialogue, and you have the death, the murder happening upstairs. And you even see little artifacts that kind of hint towards earlier or future moments in the franchise, that kind of interconnectivity, that lore aspect coming through really nicely too. The drinks as well, you know, everyone has their favorite drink, and that kind of lets you know about who the people are. Just all the little crumbs of information knocking about in this case were all very satisfying to drink in, no pun intended. Yeah, Going Once is fucking sick. I love this game. I love this game so much. At number 19, this is the case I bumped up earlier because I was like, that's way too low. We need this case higher. It's way too impressive to not be in the top 20. At number 19, I have the second case from the Spider of Lanka DLC, The Unfortunate Accident at the Raja's Court. In my opinion, one of the most difficult cases in this entire franchise. This is actually probably the first time playing these games to where I truly didn't believe I could do it. I looked at the case in front of me, I looked at the information, I revised the information a million times over, and my conclusion was, yeah, this is too hard. I can't do this. I was like defeated pretty quickly by this case. It is tough, with a lot of information being thrown at you that you have to sort of figure out, infer, and deduce from really, really limited bits of information. There's also some code text sort of trickery happening, hidden messages and stuff, but that shit made it all the more rewarding, man. I had a great time in the end with this case. I loved how it looked. It was one of the best looking cases I had seen in the franchise, and maybe it still is one of the best looking. Honestly, yeah, it's pretty up there, like pretty in the top 3. Particularly the shot where you go into the sort of king's bedroom and you see the kind of wind move. It's fucking amazing. If there's anything I could hold against this case, is the way it's visually communicating the relevant info can be quite vague in this case, particularly to do with the ritual happening and the mural. You know, it's like kind of squashed in. It's pretty hard to sort of fully understand what it's telling you, but there's a lot of trickery afoot. There's a lot of backstabbing in this case. I think it's one of the most impressive cases in the whole game series and the whole franchise, because it's just like communicating quite a lot with extremely little. One of the proudest, most like brightest examples of how good Color Gray are at just spinning an entire tale with really small crumbs of implied information. Like, they really stripped it back to the bare essentials with this case in particular. I was pretty floored by it. Number 18 is the very first case of the Lemurian Phoenix DLC, Royal Blood. I might actually have to bump this one up more. Shit, I actually filmed my entire playthrough of this case. I'll put a link in the description if you would like to watch me solve this case. Okay, so you've got a lot of gifts here. This is the fucking, from Case of the Golden Idol. This is the Virtues. That was one of the logos or some shit. Looks like a fucking, looks like the disguise in like Lego games. With the fucking nose, man. Dagger, this was our murder weapon, presumably. Dagger in the bin. We should get our names in. You are Mrs. Shabak. You're Shabak. Manzek. I think Manzek. So you must be the king. It's an amazing case. And the music, it's, oh my god, the music in this case, particularly the music that plays in the room of the murder. Fucking chills. What a soundtrack from Kyle Misko. Kyle Misko, bro. Honestly, incredible composer. This case actually introduced something that was very new to the series. Every individual location and panel and room has its own soundtrack. That's not normally the case. You know, quite often when you flick between them, the music will remain the same because the soundtrack is for the case as a whole. Not here. In this case, there are 3 individual locations. There's the balcony outside, there's the hallway, and then there's the room of the murder. And each one has its own song scoring it. And I think that's fucking sick. I loved that. And this case is just, oh my god, the trapdoor, the fucking trapdoor, one of the smartest red herrings I've ever seen. Oh, I just got chills. I just got a little shiver just now. I got like little goosebumps. I don't know, you can't, I can see him because I just remembered how, oh, the solution is crazy. Watch the video of me in the description if you want to see like the moment where I cracked the code. On the speaker, he tucks in the command and edits. It's like in the fucking speech. I lost my shit when I realized it. Fucking genius, man. I loved that solution so much. It was a fucking incredible case. The artifact hiding the murder weapon on the... Dude, this case rules. This actually, I'm probably putting this too low, but for now, I'll just keep it here. Next up at number 17, I have Trouble Unleashed, the second case from the Sins of New Wells with some very bizarre looking dogs. They're kind of cute, I think. I don't know. I can't quite tell. We are at a dog race on this one. Roy Sampson is, again, our protagonist for The Sins of New Wells. He is investigating a murder at this dog race, and there are these rival gangs that are infiltrating this dog race. It's fun deducing which names are people, which names are the dogs. They can kind of throw you off with that, and it was kind of fun to sort of unearth those things. And also, the events took place at different times of day, but you don't get to see those different times of day like in other cases. You just hear about them through people, and you have to sort of build an image in your head of what went down. And I think that is where some of the most satisfying reveals of this franchise live. When you just sort of hear recollections of a thing from various sources, and you're able to sort of deduce who's right, where they were, and why they would think that, given the angle they were looking at it from, or given the perspective they're coming from. And you see people that maybe are trying to look innocent, establishing the motives of everybody. And I think the conspiracy lurking underneath this case was really cool. Or the kind of heist, I should say, is probably a better word than conspiracy. The heist happening beneath this is really nice. So good, man. So good. At 16th place, I have the third case from the Age of Restraint, the Sentience Gambit. This case is absolutely insane, dude. It's got like talking chairs or whatever the fuck they were. There was like talking guns or something, guns or chairs. But yeah, speaking of heist, this is like the ultimate heist case, man. Oh no, they were neither. They were holding guns though. They were like freaking like grills. There was like talking grills. These grills had been automated to tell everybody that they are sentient. And it's like, what the hell's going on? Because Lemuria is so advanced, so terrifyingly powerful, that it's like, dude, you'd buy anything at a certain point. These guys came up with the Golden Idol in the 1700s. This has got to be one of the most densely packed cases the franchise has ever given us. There are so many little nooks and crannies, cabinets to look into, doors, prisons. The very dolus, which is the lie detector that everybody wears, allows for the people on the ship to be tracked. You can see if they decided to get rid of the Veridola, when they did that. Why did they do that? Does that imply that they're, trying to enact some kind of ulterior motive? I love this case, man. It's such a like manic one too. You see those people on the run. They've just like stolen a bunch of Lemurian shit. The most curiosity-inducing part is the guy whose leg has been shot, but he's lying. about it, about the fact that his leg hurts. And it's like, okay. You start thinking, are you lying? Is your Veridola broken? Like, that's why I love the Veridola. The Veridola just like fucks with your initial assumption of everything. This case is crazy. It's one of the most just batshit ones in the whole series. In 15th place, another 9 out of 10. We're still in the 9 out of 10s. We haven't quite hit the 10s yet. A Blaze of Glory, the 5th case from the Lemurian Phoenix, the final case of the Lemurian Phoenix. Yeah, loved what they did with the handcuffs, the hands sticking out. I think they were both left hands, and it made you think, wait, what? It looks like it's one person, but if it's both left hands, what's going on there? The way that was kind of like a little alley-oop red herring to initially make you think that one of the Nagasai brothers emerged victorious, only to discover that they're both crushed. Somebody else has emerged victorious. That somebody being Jamati Pera, and you're thinking, wait, Jamati Pera was loyal to Koi Nagasai. No. He was using him as a way to climb the hierarchy. He was exploiting him, and he was actually on a revenge quest to kill the leader of Lemuria, which was actually the first case, Royal Blood. That's what was happening. And it's like, oh shit, it's all full circle. It's all come together. I love it when the Golden Idol games, when they tell you the story out of order and then you realize the order afterwards. Really, really love that. They didn't start doing that until Rise of the Golden Idol, and I think they should keep doing that if they continue to, make new games in this franchise. Please do, by the way. Lemurian Phoenix has some problems as a DLC for me. One thing it absolutely fucking nailed was that kind of full circle holistic story that makes you rethink the entire DLC in a whole new way when you finish it. It's like, oh my god, all of these things were all adding up to this wider thing. It is incredible. As just a self-contained story, the Lemurian Phoenix is the most satisfying of the lot, I think. But my favorite reveal of this case has got to be working out Jamati Pera's facial features and matching them with his parents. That was fucking awesome. And you start to realize that they were like magicians and they used to use Jamati Pera as like a subject for their magic. And then you learn that they're dead. So why is he helping Koi Nagasai? What's he really up to? And then you work out that he's actually just exploiting him because his parents got unfairly killed. Because they just decided one day to go see the miracle in theaters and they questioned if it was actually true. And just that alone was enough to get them killed, because the Lemurians just want to keep up this image of being these almighty spiritual, geniuses and stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, in a lot of ways they are very much geniuses, but yeah, they are petty, egotistical, and yeah, this case, fucking rad, man. Also, Tessa Navari running away with the fake Golden Idol, incredible. Number 14 is case number 7 from the case of the Golden Idol. This one's a fan favorite. The strange practices of a secretive society. This is the case where the first game, Case of the Golden Idol, this is when things get crazy. This is when you're introduced to the Dark Hand Stewards, what are they called? The water... I can't even remember them. The cults. The cults, they're doing a ritual. They're appointing Lazarus Hurst as their new guy, the new apprentice. You start realizing in this case that the ring that keeps showing up, everyone's wearing this weird ring. The entire game, I was just thinking, like, what's up with this ring? Some people have the ring, some people don't. What does the ring mean? It means they're part of this cult. The Seven Seas Company, or whatever the fuck they're called. They're one of the Dark Hand Master Stewards. They're fucked up people, basically. These guys, they're the ones sort of chasing this kind of fascist regime that they end up all putting in action by the 10th case. I loved it, man. I loved working out what each mask meant, who was actually higher up in the ranks than other people. You sort of saw everybody in a new context after this case, because you knew which characters were actually the big head honchos and which ones are just sort of performing to be that. The music fucking rules too. It's really insidious and dark and freaky, and I love the footsteps and the dead body outside, or not the dead body, the tied up body outside. It's a pretty striking first thing to see. It's not really necessarily the first thing you see, but it's the most easily accessible thing to click on right from the beginning. And it's like in the bushes, and you're thinking like, oh, what's going to be in the bushes? Oh, it's a fucking guy. So you right away know that like trouble is afoot. And then there's this suspicious new character with Lazarus, who I should have guessed, honestly, from that moment alone, that he was Edmund. His name is Lazarus. His chin is kind of like Edmund's chin. I guess I just didn't think it, because the case before this one tells you that Edmund Cloudsley is dead, so I was just like, okay, I've internalized that as a truth now. Nah, he's just been reborn as Lazarus. Definitely one of the strongest atmospheres of any Golden Idol case. Number 13 is the first ever DLC case. Spider of Lanka case number 1. The overly enthusiastic card game in the Yellow Lily. I absolutely loved working out the murder weapons and who killed who. That shit was amazing. The first thing you see is just like a bunch of dead bodies, and it's all because a card game got out of control because one guy assumed another guy who was really good was cheating. So he was like, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna try and kill you. And then someone else was like, hey, don't do that, I'm gonna kill you. But they were buds with another guy, and that guy's like, no, I'm gonna kill you. And it was just this ripple effect of deaths. And you basically just spend this case working out who's who did what, and how did one card game spiral out so crazily that it got to this point. And on top of that, you also learn the rules of Pajak. That's the name of the card game, which is fun. You have to figure out the rules to see who won, who instigated what attack. But there's also Oberon Geller, who is the very first character you get introduced to in the entire game. He dies a horrible death at the very start of the base game of Case of the Golden Idol, and you don't see him again because he's dead. This DLC opens with him taking in this Lemurian apprentice, Lankan apprentice, I should say. And you're just thinking, why are you doing that? What do you have intentions? Are you gonna try and weasel your way into the Lankan kingdom? And he kind of is. He ends up being in pursuit of the Golden Idol because he knows that the people of Lanka know where it is. So yeah, it sets in motion a lot of really cool events in the franchise. But in its own right, it's just a fucking blast. It really gives you the impression that with the DLCs, they're going to be just letting loose a little bit and just creating these scenarios that are a bit too outlandish and weird and chaotic, more so than the base game ones. And this case, I think, captures that ethos. Number 12, we have the very first case of the new DLC, The Curse of the Last Reaper. That is Last Orders. Oh my god, looking back on this case, it is a tragic one, dude. It's really tear-jerking, to be honest. You see a poor guy with no nose who's struggling a little bit. He's saying he's sorry. Oh man, now that I know why he's saying that. Poor Steffi. My favorite part of this case was the map. The map was really fun to work out. You have a bunch of people who have found an interesting, lucrative little map. And it's like, okay, one of you has the real, legit map and the rest of you guys don't, and you think you do. Certain symbols and phrases can help you kind of deduce which one's which, and it's not the one you'd initially think. The way that the victim dies in this case is fucking brutal. Like, you look at that dead body, you're just like, jeez. Incredible music as well, really frightening music. And the fact that it takes place between 2 centuries is really imposing. Like shit that happened in the 1700s, which is where the first game took place, by the way. In this most recent DLC, they are taking things back to Case of the Golden Idol era. There is some shit that happened then that is being investigated 200 years later, and yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think it's really cool. The idea of history kind of rippling and echoing, that's a motif that they riff on quite a bit with this new DLC, and I think it's an incredibly moving jumping off point for these stories. Number 11 is the first case of the Lemurian Vampire DLC. The enigmatic exploration in a harmonious island commune is the title. These fucking Case of the Golden Idol titles were so long-winded, so fucking wordy. Incredible music, first off. Really love the music. This was also the case that introduced time hopping. There are 3 points in time you can flick between in this case, and I gotta say, the third of the 3 points in time, one of the most chilling images in the entire series has got to be the line of people all going to bow and worship this golden idol tree person that you cannot see. It's just their eyes, and they are just murdering innocent Lemurians. What's happened in this case is a crew of Lankan people, many of which are recognizable from the previous DLC, the Spider of Lanka. They have crashed their ship and washed up on an island with a bunch of Lemurians, and it just so happens that this is the island where the golden idol lives, and this is how the golden idol was found. Yeah, you kind of learn that the way of living on this island, there's a very kind of dedicated order to it. The Lankan people kind of blend in really naturally and get accustomed to their way of living. And you kind of learn about the foods they eat, the kind of things they fear and worship, and the sort of democracy of it all. It's fascinating. It really is a great case to introduce you to this island and this world. You get really small crumbs of who might be up to no good, who is really dedicated to maintaining this way of life in an authentic and traditional and sensible way. It's great. It's honestly incredible scene setting, incredible world building all around. It's an amazing case. And that brings us to the top 10. That was the 11th best case in the whole franchise, in my opinion. These are all pitch perfect cases in every aspect. I have no beef at all with any of these cases. In 10th place, I have one of the biggest, most sprawling, most intimidating cases in the whole series. Case 11 from the debut game, Case of the Golden Idol. The slight delay in the peaceful march to the king's castle. This is a perfect 10. It is by far the biggest, most dense, most like, fucking hell, how am I ever going to solve this case in that first game. It is actually the biggest moment in the whole game. Most of the big reveals, most of the big kind of like climactic moments happen here. It is massive. In fact, it actually lets you revisit many of the key locations that you've been visiting already throughout the whole game up until that point. Things are a little different. People have died. People are talking and sharing opinions about the new Order Party regime. Walter Keene's looking really funny. He's a lot older now, thanks to the Golden Idol. This case is also home to, in my opinion, the best music in the whole franchise. I fucking adore the song Slight Delay by Kyle Misko. It is incredible. One of the most evocative pieces of music in any game ever. But the most impressive part of this case to me, simply put, is that it's massive, is there's so many different locations, so many different things to, learn and infer. Every single one of them is important. Every single one of them matters. Even things like the boats, just like the little image of the boat. That right there is a big clue. And like everything is a really big clue. Even the most inconsequential things are really important. You just have to kind of infer the right thing from that info. And yeah, I think this case is incredible. I think it was a real moment where I realized, oh, these guys are capable of a lot. Like the Color Gray have been making these really great cases throughout the whole game, and then I get hit with this one. It's like a huge floodgates open. Like, wow, this is just massive. They can really bring this level of detail and logic deduction, puzzle solving to a much bigger scale if they wanted to. It was very eye-opening. I think it's amazing. Number 9, the 9th best case in the whole series is in the new DLC, Sickness and Health, the 3rd case from the Curse of the Last Reaper. I fucking loved this case. Incredible red herrings in this case, dude. I was completely baffled when I initially got the tents wrong. Like there's a bunch of tents. You have to place who is living in which tent. And I was so confident I knew it. Right out the gate, I was like, oh, this is easy. That belongs to you, so you'll go in here, blah, 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 blah. Completely wrong. I completely misinterpreted everything. Because you gotta think, at this point, I'm on the 4th DLC for the sequel game. I'm pretty confident. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know how these games work. Cool, no worries. And I'm immediately hit with like a, no you don't, look again. I'm just like, god damn it, Color Gray, man. They just have all these tricks up their sleeves, even when their cases are kind of relying on old tricks that you've already should know by now. They just find new ways to repackage it, and I love how medicine and illnesses were used in this particular case. That's nothing new for Golden Idol. Working out people's symptoms and sort of aligning that with the correct illness. Like, okay, there's a big book of illnesses. Who's got which of these illnesses? I love doing that. I think that's really fun. But then it's a matter of how did they get that illness? Did somebody infect them? Did they just get it from something in the natural environment? There's also a person hanging in this case. There are so many questions, so many things that are hinting towards a bigger picture that you just don't know yet, and you just need to work out who it is on screen that is helping enforce this bigger picture. And I fucking loved all of the little clues that they gave to lead you to the solution. The solution was very much not the one I initially thought. And also, Ada Baker makes a return. Nice to see some characters from the first game appear in the DLCs for the second game. Again, that connectivity, really, really cool. And she does some very cheeky stuff, and I knew she was cheeky because she was in the first game too. But in this game, she takes it to a new level. She is feigning an illness by using makeup to mimic scarlet fever. Fucking crazy. I was thinking, like, she is missing some of the symptoms, but can't be anything else. Like, that's the only one with red pockmarks. Then I noticed the paint in her tent. I was like, you fucker. Yeah, this puzzle rules. 8th place is a case from The Rise of the Golden Idol, the base game Complex. It's a 10 out of 10. It's one of the late game ones, and I think it's actually considered by most people to be the best case in the game. I would disagree, but I can't argue with anybody who feels that way because, yeah, this case is fucking incredible. The setting is really, really interesting. It takes place at an apartment complex. You're just seeing initially a big apartment building with loads of people, and you are just peering into each individual one, and you are just seeing lots of kind of deception and power dynamics happening in front of you. There are perverts in this house. There are murderers in this house. There are crushes happening in this house. There are policemen in this house, and there are people who are innocently going to the OPIG Foundation to do tests for the Golden Idol, not realizing that they are getting their memories completely wiped, so they can't remember what they've done, what somebody else has done, if they've been taken advantage of. And you just have to use the context clues of all of the different environments to see who has done what, why they're going where they're going. You have this lady in a rush who's got clearly some kind of evidence of something. And yeah, this was great. This was really cool because it was mostly, if not entirely, comprised of characters that you you had never seen before, and you are just seeing the ripple effect of the golden idol in the world. You're seeing the golden idol's power impact the well-being of just everyday apartment people. You're seeing them lose their mind over ideas of maybe something, chasing it down. You're seeing them getting taken advantage of, and the culprits are not getting apprehended for it. Contextually, it's one of the most telling of the entire game. It's beautifully written, it's dense as well, and everything is extremely uniformly designed. It's a fantastic case. In 7th place, the 7th best case in the whole series, is the epilogue to Rise of the Golden Idol, the final case, which is titled Final Clash. Final Clash is the name. And yeah, for good reason. Easily by a million miles, by so far the biggest case in the whole game, the whole anything, franchise. It's fucking massive. It's like constantly unfolding too, blocking off parts of the case until you've solved a certain amount of it. And then like the next batch of information comes in and it's like all part of this big sweeping narrative. It's really sick. The music's really good as well. Very like booming, like triumphant, like big climactic score going on with this. And never has Rotten Eggs ruined a plan more than this damn case, bro. We have Hunter Wolf really taking center stage here. Oh my god, man. The clues as to who Hunter Wolf is were so nicely tucked in there, man. I loved it. You can really see who it is beforehand when you like look closely at his diary entries and the way he's writing and referring to the idol. When I realized what was going on with Jack Nowak in the mirror and he's talking about Icarus, I was like, yo! Icarus is what his fucking... friggin' uncle or dad, or I forget how he's related to Isaac. But yeah, that's Isaac Nowak, who died at the very beginning of the game with that very first case. His memories have been placed into the Golden Idol, and Jack Nowak, as Hunter Wolf, was on a mission to make everybody Isaac Nowak. He wanted to use the Golden Idol to give everybody Isaac Nowak's memories so that everybody was a genius, because he thought people were too stupid. So Jack Nowak, he seemed really innocent the whole game, like just a scientist, just who's curious about technology. Nah, he actually had a similar kind of line of thinking as Lazarus Hearst. It's kind of a story that mirrors the first game, very poetically. But the actual case solving, the puzzle element of the Final Clash case is incredibly fun. The goofy looking painted idol with the face on it, you see it being pushed out the window. You see Tessa Navari really horribly disguised in her black like thief suit. You see Eugene Marmot like dangling from a water tower. As far as like a big climactic finish goes, I can't really drum up a better case than this. Number 6 is, I think, to be honest, of all of the placements in this video, I think this is the one that the Golden Idol community is most likely to say is like too high. Like I'm overrating this case, but if I'm being honest, I just love it that much. It was the most like stuck into a case I had been at the time. This is the 8th case from the case of the Golden Idol. Sorry, the 9th case. I already had the 8th case was the lighthouse. Whoops, that was close. The 9th case from the case of the Golden Idol. This is a straight up just murder mystery case. I love it. The interrupted weekend at the doctor's salon. They're all saying where they were and what they saw, and it's like everyone's trying to frame it like, oh yeah, I found the body this way. I saw this guy go here, and last thing fucking homie's dead. But man, where this case really like explodes for me is in the tiny little details, the pink eye, the blinking from Gideon Bell. There's a little chart on the wall telling you about the plants in the area and the effects that they can have, the symptoms that they will give you if you consume them. And then one of them says pink eye, one of them says rapid blinking, and it's like, you haven't been trained to like look at the animations of the people in that way before at all. Like that was the first time I think I had to like really look at what they're actually doing. Like they're blinking a lot. Like I never really paid attention to how often anyone's blinking, in the game. So slipping in some new tricks, and when I sort of made those connections, man, it felt fucking amazing. Why is everybody at this party? None of these people really like each other. The political climate of the world in the game is actually hugely important to figuring out this case. You see a newspaper about how this new order party is rising up and people are really taken to it, and like they're outshining the currently established political parties and stuff like that, and that can kind of give you an idea of why somebody might want to commit a murder tonight. It's such a fucking good case, man. I know it's a bit text heavy, but every single one of those testimonies, man, I had loads of fun just trawling through them, trying to see the cracks. I guess I'm just a sucker for a good murder mystery. This shit was fire. And now we are in the top 5. These are, in my opinion, the 5 most incredible, perfectly executed cases in the entire series. And in 5th place, we have our final entry from the case of the Golden Idol, the base game. And that is the 5th case, in my opinion, the best case in the whole game, and that is the intoxicating dinner party. In my opinion, this case is home to the absolute best reveal in the whole game, and it was really fun watching my dad. I think he was playing it for like 90 minutes in total. I would say like 70 of those minutes was spent just him going in circles like, what the hell? I've tried every possible name. Who could possibly have been the killer? It got to a point where he was trying to brute force it, and it just wasn't working. You know, I was just like, this is crazy. How I've tried everybody. What am I missing? And then I just saw him, you know, figure it out in real time. And it was... I was holding back the urge to spill the beans like so hard. And it is one of the sickest reveals. It's incredible. It's probably the most satisfying reveal in the whole game. Ada fucking Baker, man. Ada fucking Baker. You fucker. The hidden message in her note, every 4th letter. Fucking crazy. This whole case is just huge as far as the amount of information it gives you about the people. I think all of the main cast members are here. You got Rose, Peter Battley, Mary, and Lothar, of course Edmund Cloudsley, and you can see things about these people that just give you a little bit of a wider idea of who they really are, particularly Edmund Cloudsley. You know, he's got his alcohol problem. He's getting all these letters that he's throwing away into the bin that are kind of threatening him or warning him of some stuff, and you just sort of get the idea that there's some sort of wider conspiracy. So you can sort of see why Edmund decided to sort of fake his death, because he was definitely clearly like bombarded with like people that hated him because he was a very inadequate politician. You know, he's a failing politician who believes in this new world order. It becomes very clear why he decided to go through with that as Lazarus later on in the game when you really inspect what's going on in this case. And I loved the dinner table stuff. You had to sort of work out which part of the meal was poisoned and who it was intended for, why Rose ended up being the one to take the fall. Little Pip being a little thieving cheekster, taking people's stuff and hiding it under his little bed. Man, this shit rules. This shit really, really rules. Freaking Peter Battley with his little fork. I love the comedy. The comedy, the silliness of it is really, really tangible. I fucking love it, man. And the keys. Oh, I love just the little clues, like the keys, who has access to which part of the mansion. So many little questions are just sort of piling up as you solve this case, and it is incredibly satisfying. The best case in the game, in my opinion. I think it's incredible. And now we have the top 4. These 4 are like a different level. Like if I could go to 11 out of 10, if that was, you know, mathematically a possibility, these are the 4. These 4 are like on a different level of good to anything I've spoken about in this video so far. Number 4 is from the Sins of New Wells DLC. It's the final case, Unraveling, which actually also takes on board the Final Clash approach, blocking off parts of the case until you have solved a chunk of it, and so on and so forth. This has got to be the winner for most fucking psychotic opening image in the entire series. The first thing you see is this. That's the first thing you see. Bro, when I first got hit with that image, I didn't know what to say. I was speechless. I couldn't believe where this series had taken me. I'm looking at this shit. I'm like, what the hell's gone? Where are we? We're on space. We're on an alien planet. But of course we're not. This is actually a scrambled memory. Remember way back when I was talking about the raid with this guy who had his memories all scrambled? Yeah, the case right after that, Unraveling, we are seeing what those memories look like physically realized here. There are little remnants of facial features popping up, like the eyes on this are from this person's eyes. So in their memory, it's just jumbled in with all this crazy shit because they've been hit intensely with the disarray and it's completely warped their brain. This is now how they see the world, which is really, really funny, but kind of scary. It's a scary thing to think about. So you really right away at the very beginning of this case get a glimpse of what it's like to go through the disarray. And you also see Echo Secunda, that's his name. Echo Secunda, my fault. I called him Oriol Toussaint earlier because I forgot the name of the guy he became. So Oriol Toussaint, the historian, got hit with the Golden Idol and turned into Echo Secunda, who is this ancient Lemurian crazy guy. And now here we have Echo Secunda using the body of Oriol Toussaint to infiltrate this museum where he is trying to get his hands on this disarray to do God knows what. This is pretty easily, to me, the most batshit the game has ever gotten. Like, as far as pure just shock factor, pure pure creativity. I think Unraveling is the case where the game hits its apex. The part of the case where you had to unscramble those guys' memories into like what really happened and sort of translate through the disarray the events that really happened. You had to kind of work out what part of this scrambled memory is the real thing. That laser beam, or that must be the gun that someone else had. It's like, oh, this like spinning head, is that representing this guy? Like, you're trying to work out what this memory is in real life. Like, you know what I mean? That's just so fucking creative. That's so fucking creative, man. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, these guys, with the rise of the Golden Idol era specifically, they have just completely broken down all barriers as to what they can do. And they've really shown that they can find a way to make this detective puzzle framework that they've come up with. They've given it so much longevity through Rise of the Golden Idol with all of these crazy ideas they've got. And man, Unraveling, I think, is just the absolute peak of that shit, dude. It's fucking insane. The third best case in the entire series. It's my favorite from the Rise of the Golden Idol base game, and it's Steelside Warehouse. This is the penultimate case of the game before we hit the final clash, and man, it's a fucking banger. It follows some homeless people and some rich people. So yeah, right away, the political themes are rearing their head again. The homeless people, they've got their hands on the Golden Idol. They're working under Hunter Wolf, and they're trying to sort of use it to their advantage. So they get the bright idea to have the memories of one of the rich people completely overwritten by one of the homeless people. This is Hunter Wolf's idea. He's thinking, oh, these guys are homeless. They would do good things with resources, with wealth. So if they were in the position of these rich guys, logically, they would use that position as a means to help people because they're going to have more empathy for that sort of thing because they weren't born into a life of luxury like the people who are rich. Yeah, Hunter Wolf's like, cool, let me just wipe this rich person's memory clean, turn them into a blank canvas of a human being with the Golden Idol, and then deposit the memories of a homeless guy onto that person, have them infiltrate their party, and then you know they can sort of make a good difference. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. What did the homeless guy do with his newfound privilege? He decided to fund a TV show called Bum Wars. Bum Wars, a show where homeless people fight. So yeah, that flopped. Anyway, that doesn't happen until after this case is over. Let's just focus on what happens in this case. But yeah, that's just one of the funniest parts of this game's plot. Regardless of the sense of humor bottled inside this case, it's a great puzzle. You know, working out the hierarchy of the homeless guys, who's in command, who's got the nicer digs, seeing their social inadequacies enter the field when they join the rich people's party. They're playing this little roast off game. They're all taking the mick out of each other. You kind of see that they secretly sort of hate each other. They're very at each other's throats in very snide, subtle ways, which is very, you know, accurate to how people of privilege kind of are. They're very egotistic, you know, and then you have the homeless guys kind of banding together. There's a bit more of like a familial bond there, even if they are quite kind of cutthroat when it comes to the way they go about sharing that. The diary entries of who used to be part of the crew, it's a fucking gorgeous puzzle, man. And also you get like a really nice little bit of foreshadowing with Hunter Wolf's diary. You see him refer to the idol as the IDOL, which is like a fucking dead giveaway that Hunter Wolf is Jack Nowak, but you don't realize that in the moment because, you know, this game's fucking smarter than you. It's so good. It's such a great puzzle. This is like a different stratosphere to anything else in the Rise of the Golden Idol base game, in my opinion. And now we're in the top two, and honestly, these two, bro, they were always going to be the top two. There was no doubt in my mind that these are the two best cases in the franchise. I think the order might change, to be honest, with time. One of these two cases is very new and the other one isn't. It's kind of hard to judge, given that the amount of time spent with each one is not exactly on equal footing, but as I have it right now, the second best case in the Golden Idol franchise is Wish Bloom, which is the most recent case they've released, I guess. It's the final case of the new DLC. It's the ending to the Rise of the Golden Idol saga, and it is one of the most touching and beautiful things the Color Gray team have ever done. So Wish Bloom is kind of the new Golden Idol. Actually, it's weird. The Golden Idol doesn't make an appearance at all in either the Age of Restraint or the Curse of the Last Reaper. Lemuria have other tricks, and one of those tricks is Wish Bloom. Wish Bloom is a very, very dangerous thing. It's like a plant sort of looking thing, and it allows you to grant one wish, and how it goes about enabling that wish is quite cruel, to put it simply. You're seeing a gang of pirates on the run. They're hiding their treasure, and then you flash forward to 200 years later, and you're seeing these historians, scientists, investigators. They're trying to find this treasure. They're also trying to find this wish bloom that they keep hearing about. Some of them don't even know about this wish bloom. They're just in it for the treasure, and some of them, you know, they've done their research and they want to use it for their own good. And I think this wish bloom is an incredible like device from a plot perspective. It's kind of hard to imagine why the Lemurians would have wanted to create something like this. I guess they wanted everything to come true, all of their greatest wishes, and they ended up making a really dangerous artifact with the wish bloom. But it was just through this kind of constant, desperate search to achieve everything they want to achieve, this ambitious climb that the Lemurians kind of embody in a way. So Walter Keane shows up in this DLC. Walter Keane is one of the main players of the debut base game, Case of the Golden Idol. He ends up aging quite a bit at the hands of the Golden Idol in that game. You know, you see him later on, and he's an old guy, and it's like, oh shit, Lazarus Hearst took away a few years. He has been robbed of quite a bit of his life. And then in this new DLC, it gets revealed that he does get his hands on the wish bloom. And what does he use the wish bloom for? It never gets explicitly said what he wishes for, but I think it's pretty obvious. He has wished for a longer life. And he emerges terrifyingly in this case as a half turtle, half man. And that image genuinely frightened the fuck out of me. When I first saw this shit, dude, I fucking lost it. I stopped breathing. The music is terrifying too. The scariest score of any Golden Idol case. I was like, what the fuck? That's Walter Keane. When I clocked that it was Walter Keane, I fucking couldn't believe it. Then I thought back on the base game and it just made sense. I was like, holy shit, he wants to get the years he lost back. And he is saying how the wish bloom is the best thing that ever happened to him. And he's kind of found peace, it seems. And then this case ends with the most... Oh, I just got chills thinking about it, man. It's one of the most beautiful images. Oh, fuck. It actually makes me choke up. I think it's beautiful, man. It's really got me. Walter Keane and Ada Baker on the island with the ocean waves hitting them. And they're both contemplating if they made the right decision to be together. I want to go back and trawl through the original game to see if I can find any hints that they were in love. I want to see if there was any like clues towards that or foreshadowing. But to me, it was a bit of a surprise to discover that they loved each other. And Ada Baker has transformed into a beast. That's something that the scent of the wish bloom does to you. That fucking final image to send off the Rise of the Golden saga is just so touching. It's like the only time the game has ever really gotten like sensitive and really like embraced a vulnerable, like earnest, like kind of love story. And I just think they handled it so gracefully with this final case. The most emotive thing that they've ever made. And that's why I think it will probably, when I said the order will change with time, I really think with time I'm probably going to claim Wish Bloom as the best case in the series, because it's just so emotive. It's such an expressive case. It's really like a labor of love, more so than any other case. And that's the thing I loved about this DLC, is that it put that at the center. There was no like in-between puzzles. You know how some of the other Rise of the Golden Idol content, they'll have like a little icebreaker puzzle before you unlock the final case or something. There was none of that here, which I don't mind those, but yeah, each case was very just exactly what the story needed and nothing more. It was very succinct, very precise, and it all just really beautifully enriched the wider universe of the Golden Idol and gave it this ending sentiment of hope and peace. The fact that some people, through all of the Lemurian fuckery, through of the Golden Idol, all of the mayhem and the tragedy that has been caused by these extremely dangerous, powerful artifacts, where most of the time anybody who gets their hands on them has used them to like abuse power, take advantage of people. I love that this final DLC has ended off with some characters that have used these things to not do any of that, but to find wholeness in themselves. The way the artwork reflected that, the way the music reflected that, I think they just hit that sensation and an idea home so well, and it fucking broke me, man. When I input the solution, Walter Keane and Ada Baker returned to the island, I solved it and the little da-da-da-da-da happened. I truly, like, I can't describe the chills it gave me. It really hit me on an emotional level that no other case had hit me before. But I'm not giving it to number one, because when it comes to working out the solution, I had a great time. Wish Bloom is amazing in that regard as well. Do not get it twisted, but it does not hold a candle to my number one, which is the second case of the Lemurian Vampire DLC, titled The Lemurian Vampire Strikes, with a fucking exclamation point, because they knew they fucking cooked. Okay, first off, best music of the whole game. Sorry, I said that for the slight delay case. Fuck that. No, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. The guitar work on this fucking soundtrack is so good, dude. Kyle Misko went out of control for this soundtrack. I totally forgot about this when I said that earlier. When I said that shit earlier about slight delay, Great song, amazing OST. The Lemurian Vampire Strikes OST is so fire, dude. Oh my god. So why is this the best case in the whole game? Well, for one, it's genuinely a fucking challenge. Like, this is a tough case. They didn't bombard you with a million words to look through. They didn't give you a million red herrings. They actually laid it out very, very uniformly and carefully. There's not a single clue, not a single spot that is irrelevant in this case. It is easily the most like deftly executed puzzle, beautifully drawn, and just as far as the art is concerned, it's emotive in another way. Like, Wishbloom is emotive in a more like an internal, emotional way, whereas in this case, every little pixel is communicating something. And I just think it's the best example of all of the strengths of this franchise. But really, there is like one or two major solutions in this puzzle that seal the deal. They are just ingenious. I can't put it into words. They make the Ada Baker dinner party solution look like fucking nothing by comparison. There are so many things in this fucking puzzle, in this case, that I looked over a billion times and thought nothing, only to realize that the entire time that was the answer. It was staring me right in the face. That happens like 3-4 times over in this case alone. It has got to be the best example of hidden in plain sight clues this series has ever done. I love this fucking puzzle. It's visually stunning, and you also see some foreshadowing with the ship in the distance, Oberon Geller and Albert Cloudsley coming to try and find the Golden Idol for themselves, which ends up resulting in Oberon Geller's death at the very beginning of Case of the Golden Idol. It's fucking amazing. When I just think of why I love this franchise, just to get the baseline principal reasons as to why this is a great video game, the storytelling, the suggestions, the foreshadowing, the way it all culminates into a really gripping puzzle-solving exercise, this is why I love this franchise. This is Color Gray taking that rare crumb of crystallized dopamine they felt from Return of the Obra Dinn and expanding on it into their own thing confidently at the peak of their abilities. This case is the reason Color Gray decided to make these fucking games, is so that they could reach this shit. To me, this is the apex of everything. And it is still, as of right now, my pick for the best case in the entire Golden Idol saga. Wishbloom could probably sneak up there just due to the amount it really moved me. But as far as just sheer puzzle-solving satisfaction, nothing touches the Lemurian Vampire Strikes. I have now ranked from worst to best every single case in this godforsaken franchise. Here is my ranking on screen. I'd like to just say right now that there is no game, no film, no album, nothing on planet Earth that I perceive to be more underrated and overlooked than The Case of the Golden Idol, The Rise of the Golden Idol, and their accompanying DLCs. I think the potential experience that these games allow is above and beyond 99% of what you can spend your time doing, and the experience it's given me, I'm like so grateful for. Every single time a DLC comes out, a new little announcement of anything comes out, I am like ready, determined, like primal at the thought of jumping on it. I love this shit, and I really, really want to just say that Color Gray, bro, you guys are a small team, you might end up watching this, I don't know. Fuck, man. I fucking love this. Shout out to Callista Plays, who has an incredible Let's Play series where she plays through these games. Truly, I don't know if you guys are aware, like, I really hope you know just the impact of these amazing games you've made, man. And I just really hope you thrive and find all the success in the world. I'm going to keep screaming at everyone I know to play these for the foreseeable future. Truly, this is like the most fun I've had recording a video in ages. I've been waiting to make this forever. I love this shit. This really is like this is the most recent thing I've like fallen deeply in love with. Because yeah, this is the kind of shit that, just like Return of the Obra Dinn and Outer Wilds before, there's nothing else like it. There is literally nothing else like it. No other game can give me even a slight hint of the joy I get from Color Gray's Golden Idol series, because the personality can't be replicated. There is so much humanity and personal like humor and whimsy. There's a real voice to this series that only Color Gray have, you know? I'm sure there'll be plenty of people inspired by Golden Idol to make their own kind of offshoots. I think I've already seen a few people on the Reddit page promoting their new game, and it's like, oh, this is inspired by Golden Idol. I'm sure this will birth so many amazing, creative new indies, but yeah, there is no replicating what Color Gray have done with Golden Idol. It is so singular, and I just love the decision to turn this series into more than just some puzzles. It's like a whole sweeping story with different countries, different cultures, different factions and gangs, and like characters I feel really connected to, even though I've only seen them in brief little slivers of like panels with one line. Somehow I have these extremely vivid ideas of who these characters are. I cannot wait to see what could possibly come next for this series, but honestly, if nothing ever does come next, I would get it because they went out with such a bang on Wishbloom. I would not blame Color Grey at all if they wanted to just sort of leave it, you know, go out on a high, I guess. But yeah, that's everything I got to say. Thank you so much for watching. I love you.